What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Glorious Nightmares podcast. My name is Adam Hlavac. I'm very excited to be here. I've been wanting to talk about horror for so long, and thankfully, my amazing co-host, Cameron Rice.
Hello.
Mr. Spooky himself.
I did it.
You did it. This is your idea. This is your fault.
Yeah.
You're the reason why we're here.
Yeah. So I thought the internet needed two white guys talking about movies. We don't have enough of that.
We're here to provide, ladies and gentlemen.
We're here to give the people what they want. I wanted to do a horror podcast because I love horror and want to talk about all the aspects of it, not just film, but also talking about like TV. I was going to say movies, even though I just mentioned movies. But like video games, TV, books, even stuff like that. And also a good way to kind of bring people in. But originally it was going to be like a slightly solo venture, but I knew I would not do as well doing it by myself. I was like, well, I'll have like a rotating panel of co-hosts. So I originally hit up Adam and I was like, hey man, how's your bandwidth these days? How crazy are things? And he goes, oh, real bad. I don't have a lot of time.
Do you want to host a podcast with me?
Well, originally I was like, hey, you don't have to be a perma. Just, if every once in a while you want to come on in, and be like more of a frequent co-host as that and the other. But the minute I said horror, he was like, oh, I'm in. So it took,
my nipples
there was no negotiation. There was no agents involved. It was a handshake deal. And here we are.
Yep.
Here we are. Yeah. The main thing for the show, I think, is for us to be, try to be positive as we can about horror and horror stuff. The internet is kind of a toxic dumpster wasteland. That said, that doesn't mean we're going to like everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there's stuff we don't like, we might not talk about it, or we might hold it for special episodes that people can get, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yep.
But generally, this will be a place where we kind of celebrate horror creators and things like that in the world of spookiness.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I think was the most appealing to me was everyone knows that I've been talking about superheroes probably longer than I should be at this point, but and it's a lot of fun, and I love doing stuff with Augustine and Hector, and I've tried to dabble a little bit in other horror ventures, and some of them have just like never worked out. And you and I have always at some point throughout the iteration of our careers have had moments to talk about horror, watch trailers for horror movies, or watch movies that are within the horror realm. And I was so excited when you hit me up because I thought, okay, if we're going to do this, let's do it. Let's really figure out a way where we can talk about, just like you said, movies, streaming, books, comics, video games, because there's also a lot of stuff within those genres and those mediums that I'm not familiar with or I haven't fully ventured into, like Friday the 13th, the video game, that RIP. Or the Halloween comic books.
I still have not figured out whether or not that's playable in any way.
I don't think any
fashion. Like if you can have friends jump on, if you can create your own lobbies. I haven't ventured yet. I'm scared too.
I don't want to know for sure if I'm in or out.
I'm like, no.
but that was really the thing that got me excited about doing this podcast was an opportunity. Also, it's nice to be amongst a different crew. I don't get to see a lot of the people that are in this room anymore. It makes me sad. So I was excited to just have something new to look forward to on a weekly basis. Schedules be damned.
Yeah, we're making it happen.
Fuck my schedule.
We're going to be, it's an uncensored show.
Sorry.
We're not bleeping. YouTube will be so mad. So I think maybe for those people who don't know us, who maybe are tuning in or anything like that, who the hell are we?
That's a great question.
Who are we? What are we doing here? We talked about what we're doing here, but let me ask, like, what got you into horror? What was the impetus?
Yeah, I'm kind of a basic B when it comes to that. You're wearing the shirt for one of the movies of the franchise that I think really got me into horror. It's John Carpenter's Halloween. And
how old are you?
I think when I first saw clips of Halloween, I was like 8. Because I used to play on AMC Fright Fest all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And for whatever reason, I was so intrigued by this character who had this blank face and would murder people. And I'm like, well, the murdering I don't love, but he's got a really great look.
I'm not a fan of the murdering.
Yeah,
I'm
but the
okay
look.
with the stalking and the digging up of a body in the graveyard.
The killing the dog, I don't know about that either, but
eating beans straight from the can, I can get on board.
Whatever. Apparently he's able to drive. Well, that's a whole conversation for another day. But yeah, Halloween was the big one for me. Yeah. And I kept revisiting it every Halloween. And then one day when I was in, I think 5th grade, 4th grade, I did a before school program. And one of the teachers overheard me talking about it with another student. I don't know if she was mortified at that idea that I was telling another student
talking about
it,
like because you had seen it already, or talking about like bits and pieces you had
just
seen?
the bits and pieces that I had seen. And she overheard it and she was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Oh, this movie Halloween." I knew at that point who Jamie Lee Curtis was. And I was like, "This movie with Jamie Lee Curtis where this guy's like, coming after her and he's got this white mask." She's like, "Are you talking about Halloween?" And one thing led to another, and I eventually got my mom to sign a permission slip for her to let me borrow the VHS. How many 9-year-olds in 4th grade are doing that?
That's a cool teacher. I also like that she got proper paperwork.
She did, yeah.
To like legally protect her ass.
Yeah, totally. And I don't think my mom knew at that point what Halloween was. So there I went, and I watched it on VHS, and I got to see the whole thing. And it was so ingrained in my brain that like any 9-year-old would have problems sleeping for the next couple of weeks. Sure. So the closet door would be open and I'm like, is there a white face that I can see in there? Close the door. Yeah,
it just stays with you.
Yeah, that really, but I think like the evolution of that was every time I would revisit that movie as I got older, I had an appreciation for the cinematography, for how like the whole movie is lit, or the blocking or directing choices that John Carpenter made. And then as I got into filmmaking, then I really stretched my arms and got into all kinds of horror. And, just by nature, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Hellraiser, all that stuff, Scream. And it's just kind of stuck with me ever since then.
Here's a question that I think there's a couple of horror movies that fall into this. How many copies of Halloween do you own? Or have you bought over the years?
Currently I own, I technically have 3. I have the Lionsgate 4K. I have the Shout Remaster. And then our buddy Keller got me a copy of Halloween on 4K in Italy.
Oh, pitiful. Halloween infamously is one of those discs,
it's got like so
along with Evil Dead,
where
it has been like released and re-released. It's like, here's a Blank Bones DVD. Here's a DVD with some special features. Here's a special edition of the DVD. Here's an anniversary of the DVD. Halloween is probably, along with Evil Dead, is probably one I own. God, I probably have like 6 copies of Halloween at the house.
Yeah.
Not counting the box sets.
Right.
Like just as an individual copy. If we count the box sets, then we're also getting into other conversations. And then the upgrade to 4K of those box sets.
Yeah, I know. And I at this point, the only thing I'm on the hunt for is I would like to have just like the VHS. Just to have it as a display piece.
Brother, go to eBay.
I know. They're all over the place.
They have it.
Yeah. So, I also went through a phase for a long time where I was not a huge physical media person up until I was in my like mid 20s. And I remember when that Halloween set came out, that first one where it had all, at that point, 9, 10 movies.
This is post-zombie, Rob Zombies?
Yeah. It had all of them, including those 2 zombie movies. And I remember someone had told me that like it went up on eBay or some other website and it was available for like $9. And a bunch of people got it, and I was like, why did I have to miss out on that deal?
Oh, man. Yeah, eBay so physical media, let's tangent a little bit into physical media for a minute here. So physical media, that's something I have never stopped doing. And I remember even like 10 years ago getting such shit for it. People would be like, it's all on streaming. And here's the thing, to some extent, now that's not so much the case. It was a little bit more the case 10 years ago where I would say more mainstream stuff gets on streaming. But the stuff I like, which is like, there ain't no Lucio Fulci, or Dario Argento movies on streaming.
Yeah.
There might be now with Shudder and stuff like
Shudder,
that.
Yeah.
But like at the time, I'm liking like obscure, weird stuff. Vinegar Syndrome, if you're watching stuff from them, or Severin, just like weird, bizarre shit. And I'm like, that ain't on streaming. So yeah, physical media is something I've been a big proponent of. I probably have too much. There's definitely a conversation to be had with my significant other when it comes into moving in together, what I will do with all of it. Because I don't want to put it all in wallets and sleeves. I like having it displayed, but I also understand I'm going to be in a shared living space. I'm not there yet. I haven't hit that crossroad yet, but it's coming.
I feel that, because I think at this point I want to say around 1,400 titles. I think.
Oh man, if I count.
Yeah, and I have reached the point where I am kind of out of shelf space, but we're lucky enough that in our house we have an office. So I have my desk, and then I have the wall behind me that has all the films. But you know this better than anyone, that finding shelf space that is like adequate and is and is actually made for the media that we collect is very difficult.
Now, here's the thing I don't do, and it drives our buddy Hector crazy. I don't alphabetize.
That's fine.
They are just willy-nilly. Because in my brain...
But that's your collection, so you can do whatever you want with it.
Oh, I know. But in my brain, alphabetizing... And to be clear, it's not like my buying habits have dropped considerably over the last couple of years. It's pretty much like I'll buy one or two.
Yeah.
If there's a sale like Criterion or Vinegar Syndrome, then I'll buy like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But if I alphabetize that stuff, and because of the shelf space, I'm like,
you're constantly like pulling everything out, you're pulling 10 in to put 1 in, and then 30 in to put 1 in.
So I end up treating it the way I treat my books, which I also still physically buy paper books. Is just create like a nice little stack, like a watch pile to read pile, and then get through that bit by bit. I currently have a big buy pile because a bunch of Shout Factory stuff went on sale recently.
I know, and I'm resisting, and it's the last day. I just got the email. I must resist. It's hard.
I couldn't resist. I did it. I jumped in that pool.
Son of a bitch.
As for me, my background for horror stuff, I think it was my. This is just movie watching in general. I grew up, mom and dad, and then my aunt, my mom's sister, was not that far away. And so I kind of had 3 individuals showing me their different taste in films. I think that's a very different thing probably from kids today. I kind of get the feeling talking to people who have children, it's a lot of like, well, and then we have family time and the children picks the show. And that was not that way in my house. It was, this is what mom and dad are watching.
Yeah.
And if you walk in and want to watch it too, you can watch it too. Or and not to say like, obviously there wasn't like after school watch Jungle Book or something, but generally nighttime was whatever's thrown on. And so the first core memory I have of a pure horror movie, because I think down the road there's a discussion to be had about like horror films that are not technically horror films, like your Temple of Dooms, your Gremlins. A lot of times those gateway films that can kind of start getting people going.
Yeah.
But the first I think like proper horror movie I recall watching was The Wolfman. And I think it was just Halloween time. It was playing on some channel, and my parents just had it on. And I'm
like
probably
USA, probably.
Yeah, I'm like 4 or 5, and I think it was just like such a like mind opener, as it were. And so that was like that was the classic. That was the first one, and then I think the one that finally like dug its claws in. I was like 8 years old, and I went to. It wasn't a sleepover, but it was like a buddy's hangout. Like went to their house, and their aunt, and it's one of those houses. God love it. When you walk in and you're like, this place smells like 8 cats.
Oh God.
There's a bunch of random siblings running around. You're not sure who everybody is. But there was an aunt in the other room watching Poltergeist or some horror-a-thon because it was Poltergeist. And so it's like, I'm not really watching it with her, but I'm more in the hallway watching what's happening.
Yeah.
And so the images that have always, and it was 2 body horror things because the images that have stuck with me is the face ripping in the mirror. And then right after that, of all films, was Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Freddy's Revenge. And that has the thing of Freddy transforming out of Jesse.
Yeah.
And those were 2 just at 8 years old, such violent imagery that just stuck with me in such a way. And it scared the shit out of me, but it was also something that kind of like, what is this?
Yeah.
Because my dad was a big action guy. Mom loved classics and rom-coms and stuff like that. And my aunt was really into showing me like 70s comedies, Blazing Saddles, Monty Python, Cheech and Chong. And so horror was sort of the one thing that then became mine, like solely the thing I discovered. It was mine. And it wasn't long after that like I started to kind of just pick things up by having like allowance and stuff like that. There was this video store whose name now I can't remember, but it was in the heart of Glendale. And I just remember going and like over a weekend, I was like, I went and bought the VHS to Evil Dead 1. And then 3 days later went and bought part 2. And then I was like, where's part 3? Figured that out. So yeah, horror has been something that since like a little kid onward has always kind of stuck and been there. And that's led from movies to TV shows, video games, horror comics. It's great. I love it. That's also a reason why I make it today.
Right.
Why I make horror shorts. It's also the genre that on a show I used to do with Hector back in the day, the question he asked me and our co-hosts, Vanessa and Kelly from Teen Creeps was, what is it about horror? And I think for us, at least for me, my answer was, it's the genre you can get the most creative in on a small budget. It's also the genre that it's like, you can have like not the best filmmaking skills and learn on the job and then be like, that's part of the story.
Yeah. You can get away with a lot.
Yeah. And if it's effective, it's effective.
Yeah.
And there's ways you can try things in horror on a very low budget that if it's action, you got to be more like, you're like, it didn't quite work.
Mm.
But in horror, people can be like, ooh, the fact that it's cheap is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks grungy.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times I feel like too with horror, because people generally, at least in my life experience, people generally, not that they don't like horror, but it's not the thing they gravitate towards. Therefore, they tend to be easily more scared. So when you do stuff like that and you experiment, as long as they have that reaction, you feel like it kind of works.
Yeah.
You know, you can kind of get away with it.
And then I think like the other big horror gateway for me outside of film was Goosebumps.
Yeah.
The Scholastic Books fair.
Damn.
And I remember it was a second grade teacher that was like, this guy's like Stephen King for kids. And I didn't really know who Stephen King was. I didn't have that yet. I remember my aunt reading him. And I remember my aunt having these like big hardcover books with Stephen King at the top. And so I was like, oh, I could read this. Mm-hmm. And so I still have somewhere in my house like a big box of Goosebumps books.
Oh, wow.
That I have not reread.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would hold up.
Might be kind of fun.
But I had a hell of a time.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed them. But that was also a big like that, and then sneaking Tales from the Crypt.
Yes. How did I forget about that?
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. Watching like it was never at my house because we didn't have HBO for a long time. But if you go to like a friend's house or an aunt's house, they had HBO. Everyone went to bed. You're a kid with insomnia. You pop on some Tales from the Crypt. Mm-hmm. That's or scrambled porn. You have two options on where the night's going to take you.
Trucking. How do I get it? Come on. It's almost there.
Yeah, you're finding something.
Yeah.
But no, Tales from the Crypt was another big, and that was like the fun. I think that's the fun thing too about horror is that like it can be so many different things.
So many.
Like it can be insane splatter, Friday the 13th, or it can be Tales from the Crypt, which is also splatter, but can be very goofy and very fun and silly and stuff like that. So yeah, I think like those were all the sort of gateways that then led into other things.
Yeah. And for my family does not like horror at all.
Does your mom make comments? My mom makes comments.
No, I don't think so. I think my mom at this point has just accepted that I am psychotically obsessed with Halloween, the holiday and the movie. So she just embraces it. So she gets excited when I'm like, I'm in South Pass at the Myers house. She's like, oh, that looks so fun.
My mom still to this day, I don't understand. Why do you like this?
Yeah.
I'm making her sound way more judgy. She's like Carrie's mom or something. It's very like, I don't know how you could watch this. I don't know. But it's so funny because like there are horror movies I'll see and I'll be like, you should watch this. I think you would like this.
Yeah.
And there's something though in her brain, something being a movie instead of a TV show. Because she can watch Stranger Things.
Yeah.
She can watch Evil, the CBS show that's all about like Satan possession and all this other stuff. And she's like, ooh, this show is scary. And I'll be like, well, why don't you watch like It? It's sort of Stranger Things. She's like, oh, no, absolutely not.
Do you think it has something to do with the idea in her head that TV has more restrictions than movies do?
Probably,
like
even
gore?
though that's complete bullshit.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Considering she's like watched Bridgerton how many times? I think she knows the restrictions are off.
Yeah.
Like we've left the guardrails behind. But yeah, no. If I try to recommend a slightly spooky movie, she will not be down.
Yeah, I mean, same with my family. There's no way in hell, except for maybe my brother, who I could never convince them to sit and watch anything horror related ever in a bazillion years. Because most of our VHS tapes that we had at the house, it was all 80s teen comedies in general, or action.
Your mom's really
movies.
into Porky's, Big Porky's head.
Yeah. No, totally. That like I can totally see the VHS tapes. It's Porky's, Back to the Future, St. Elmo's Fire, The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller, like all of that stereotypical 80 Coming to America, Beverly Hills Cop, all those things. So it really, it's just solely me who's really the horror obsessed person.
No, it's great. I love that. It's very, so let me ask you this. We both have ladies in our life. Mm-hmm. How does she react to the horror?
Loves it.
Oh my God.
You
found your person.
Yeah, I did. It's been what's been one of the best parts of our relationship. She was not a big movie goer, meaning she didn't go to she also doesn't generally doesn't watch a lot of movies and hadn't been to the movie theater in, I think she said like 6 years before we got together, which for people like us, that sounds psychotic.
That's wild.
Yeah. So,
well, 2 of those years were COVID years. So
that's also true. So the fun part has been going to the movies a ton more. And the things that we predominantly see together are horror movies. And then at home, we'll watch a ton of horror movies as well. And we've been getting into like the Exorcist TV show and all kinds of stuff. So it's been great.
Has she surprised you? Has there been like stuff either she liked or was like, I did not like that?
In horror or just in general?
Horror. I think horror. But
well, Halloween was definitely a movie that I think because we grew up with it and we got to sort of experience it from a young age, she watched and she was like, I can totally understand why you like this movie so much. But I as like a 35-year-old adult.
Oh man, you gave her age. She's going to be so mad, brother. What have you done, dude?
She definitely will tell me like, I can kind of see how, you know, like the things that have aged and maybe not aged as well.
Right.
I'm like,
right.
yeah, I totally understand that. But I like having those conversations with her about those movies because some things like The Exorcist, we watched that and she was like, that's still terrifying to me.
That's it. Yeah. So my girl does not, or I'll put it this way. She likes more spooky horror, right? Meaning like anything that has to do with like a haunted house.
Okay.
Or ghosts.
Yeah,
or anything like that.
She's into that stuff too. Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. So like I showed her The Others. She'd never seen The Others before. I was like, oh, you got to watch The Others. And she was like, oh, that was great. The Changeling, the George C. Scott haunted house movie. So anything that has to do with like haunted house, more so like haunted house than like possession. I think possession, she's like a little bit like, but like anything that's like psychological or slow burny. But like last year on Friday the 13th, I was like, let's watch one of them. Let's watch one of them. So we watched part 6, Jason Lives, which to me is my favorite one. I think it's also probably the most easily accessible as far as like being fun for people to get into if they've never seen a Friday the 13th movie. That and part 4. So we watched part 6, which is also like a more comedic one. And at the end of the movie, I was like, what'd you think? And she goes, I'm glad you like it. She's like, you seemed very happy. So, but hey, she watched it.
Yeah.
She watched it.
She gave it a shot.
She watched it. And, leading up to October, there's usually like, okay, hey, let's start. Like, she'll text me and be like, October's coming. Let's start putting together a list of movies. Let's start doing this, that, and the other. And so I try to kind of vary it up where I'll be like, oh, let's watch some fun ones. Let's watch some ones that are legitimately scary. She has a young niece and nephew, so I'll also try and be like, hey, maybe there's one we can watch
a little more age appropriate.
Yeah, stuff like that. So we're getting to the point where we want to show her niece, who's 8, The Craft.
Oh, cool.
And so there's, it's rated R, but it's rated R for more like cursing than anything else. So we're like, oh, maybe now's the time. Maybe now's the time. So maybe this October we'll finally be showing the kid The Craft.
Yeah, cool.
So it's exciting.
Yeah.
So all that said, any horror this week? Did you have any horror this week? We did see a movie. We're gonna talk about that more next episode, as far as like the state of horror.
Yeah. Well,
but anything else?
I'm excited to talk about that because every year I feel like for the most part there's like good things throughout.
Oh yeah.
But this year everything that I've seen so far I've really enjoyed. I just did a kind of a backwards double feature, but I did Bring Her Back from the Raka Raka brothers, and she had not seen Talk to Me, so we watched Talk to Me. I really liked that movie. Yeah. I liked it both times that I got a chance to see it. It's a really fun concept, and I think at the time when it had come out, I think I had like a little bit of like a blank space and I wasn't watching too much horror at that point. So I watched that and I was like, oh man, I need to go bust out my Blu-rays. I need to start like catching up on things I had missed or rewatch things I hadn't seen in a long time that are not Halloween. Bring Her Back, I enjoyed. I think the thing, especially on that first watch, there's some explanations done in the beginning as to like what to expect from the film. It's kind of explaining the rules of the world and like what's going on. And it felt a little bit unclear to me. So when you get to the second and third act and things are starting to resolve, I'm like, why do we need some of these elements? Do these elements need to be in here? So maybe it's on me that maybe I missed something, or maybe like in the visual language of the film, I may have missed a detail that was explaining to me and justifying like why certain things were happening. But Sally Hawkins is in it and she is so good. All the acting is good, honestly. Like all the kid actors and Sally Hawkins are really, really great. I think that just some of the details I wasn't too clear on. And I walked out of the theater going, did I misunderstand something? I was talking to like one of the reps and I was like, can you clarify something for me? And they were like, well,
you work for this movie.
yeah,
come talk to me.
Yeah. I was like, did you get this same like result based on what they told you? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, does that seem clear to you? And they were like, yeah, kind of. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something to be said about that then. But yeah, but I still really enjoyed it. And it had there is one moment in that movie that involves a child and a knife. And I was like, I didn't know we were going to go here.
Yeah, does this kind of fall a little bit into the creepy kid genre?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I'm calling this old man movie corner. This is where I come across like a 60-year-old man. I watched Murder by Decree.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Murder by Decree is from Bob Clark, speaking of Porky's, who also did Black Christmas. Bob Clark, one of those directors with like such an interesting career.
Yeah.
Like does like Black Christmas, Porky's 2 the next day, Christmas Story, and Baby Geniuses.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Weird.
But he also did Murder by Decree. Murder by Decree, it's a Sherlock Holmes film. It's Sherlock Holmes investigating Jack the Ripper. And it's Christopher Plummer as Sherlock Holmes and James Mason as Watson. It also has Donald Sutherland in it. And Sherlock Holmes is one of those things for me that is, and for me, this falls into horror because of the Jack the Ripper of it all. Sherlock Holmes, especially when it's less, and I enjoy action Sherlock Holmes, your Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. But for me, Sherlock Holmes, whenever it's him just like investigating and smoking a pipe, it is a warm blanket. It is a big, cozy, warm blanket. It runs about 2 hours. I had a great time. And it feels like classic Sherlock Holmes stuff, but also because Bob Clark had done Black Christmas. The Jack the Ripper murder scenes really are shot like a slasher movie.
Oh, cool.
Like there's a lot of pretty cool point of view shots and stuff like that. I'd highly recommend it for anybody who's ever liked the comic book From Hell, the Alan Moore comic book, because it kind of is dealing with a similar premise.
Right.
Not just Jack the Ripper of it all, but it's like, it might have been someone connected to the royal family and this kind of a thing.
Cool.
But especially like seeing younger Christopher Plummer, because the man lived very long.
Yeah.
So seeing him older than Sound of Music, but younger than what we were used to in the 90s.
Yeah.
As Sherlock Holmes is really great. And again, like it's just one of those movies, but it's, I think you could watch it with teens around. Like I think it's a PG movie, but it's that like 70s, 80s PG.
Yeah.
Where it's still kind of brutal.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God.
It probably would have been a PG-13 if it was released today.
Yeah. But the murders are done really, really well. And there's also all this stuff about the class system and everything like that. And it's also interesting to see a Sherlock Holmes with like a much older Watson in James Mason, which I've never seen that portrayed before that I can think of. Really, really, really enjoyed that. So that was on the movie front. And then on the video game front, just Dead by Daylight. So much Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
Dead by Daylight is like my comfort food. Dead by Daylight is my... we're going to have some people come in sometime soon to talk about video game horror stuff. Have you ever played Dead by Daylight? Have you ever jumped into that?
I as you were talking, I was telling myself, this is your opportunity to stop not playing video games for no reason other than time.
Well, let me ask you, are you a rage gamer? Do you like rage out if you lose? You can be honest.
That's a good question. As a kid, I did. I don't know as an adult because I haven't played enough.
Control thrower.
Yeah. Well, not to that point, but more like just smashing the controller, like playing all these various games. I think maybe that's why I stuck with Crash Bandicoot for the rest of my life.
Not at all irritating, difficult game.
You're like, dum, 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 that's fun. I love it.
No, Dead by Daylight is like one of those games where I'm just like, if I have time to chill out and play a game, it's usually Dead by Daylight. The community can be pretty toxic.
Really?
Which is also why I don't play with mics on. I just kind of straight play. I usually play the killer, which is my sick enjoyment. And it's also one of those games that allows you to play some of your favorite killers from movies.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't they have like skins for Jason and Michael and Freddy?
Not Jason. They've never gotten Jason, but they do have Michael. And then they each have different abilities.
Yeah.
So my go-tos are Chucky.
Oh my God, yes.
Chucky is also because he's small, he's able to get around quicker. So he's a little cheesed in the game, to be honest with you. And Hellraiser. Pinhead is great.
Cool.
The Cenobites is really, really awesome. And there's other there's other movie franchises I love. I don't like playing as the characters.
Is Ash in there?
Ash is in there. Andy, our buddy Andy, Often plays his dad.
Cool.
And has him die.
That's fun.
Ash is in there. Obviously more as a survivor than as a killer.
Right.
But the Xenomorph is in there.
Oh, really?
Okay. Here's my thing. I love the Xenomorph.
Yeah.
In the game, he's too chunky.
Really?
He can't get around corners as well. Maybe they fixed it.
Yeah.
I haven't played it for a little while. But he a chunky boy.
Yeah.
And then my group of friends that I play with, Andy and Janelle, we often say that if someone is a Ghostface killer, they're probably a bit of a brat.
Oh, interesting. What do they have? Do they have Predator?
They don't have Predator.
No license for that.
They don't have
cool.
Predator. But here's the thing: they're always announcing stuff.
Yeah, that's
they're
cool.
always
though.
announcing stuff. They just put Nicolas Cage in the game
What?
as a playable character. Oh yeah, and he's a survivor. But it's
That's
not
awesome.
It's not his character from like some.
Sure, it's just Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, it's not him from Bringing Out the Dead as the ambulance driver. It's just Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
But they have Stranger Things skins, stuff like that. Dead by Daylight is my comfort food.
That sounds. All right, I need to play this game.
Oh yeah,
I need to play this game.
It's
Is
a
this
lot
like
of fun.
the Fortnite for horror, where they're just gonna keep bringing in all these like different licensed
For
characters?
the most part, you're less playing though against 100 people. Like
Right.
if you're the killer, you're hunting everybody down. There's only 4 people.
That's fun.
But if you're the player, that said though, there are games where you can be like the survivor and the game is done in 30 seconds.
Oh,
Like it is like
Great.
no one saved me. I got
Great.
left on the hook. But it's great, and I think that's a larger conversation for another episode. Is sort of the horror game world of 1v4 or 6 and stuff like that, because we have the Evil Dead game, the Texas Chainsaw game, Killer Clowns, these games where it's like, oh, you could play as the bad guy or you could play as this character, and
right.
I personally enjoy playing as the killer. Which I don't know what that says about me, but I do. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But they also have great original characters too within the game. So
Very cool.
yeah, Dead by Daylight. If you play it, we will have to set up a day
Oh, we definitely should.
and jump that on our Discord. We are starting a Discord. We'll have all that info at the end. But yeah, we should definitely do a Dead by Daylight
Yeah,
day.
we should.
I would say let's play with Andy and Janelle. They can get a little competitive.
Great. All right, cool. I'm gonna be dead
in a way where they will yell at you if you're doing things wrong.
Oh,
So,
cool. All
as
right.
a learning experience.
Great. He's gonna
Might not
throw
be
me in with the wolves.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, cool. Great.
Win for you could play it. You don't have to be good. That's what's going to help someone learn.
Be shitty with the rest of us. Me. You know, it's actually funny you bring up Black Christmas because I watched that for the first time this year.
Ooh,
I had never seen it before.
the original.
Yeah, and it was one, it was a real delight, and two, I'm watching, I'm going like, oh yeah, Halloween it's a lot like this movie in a lot of ways.
It so bump the mic. It is. It's also the thing too of like it is still disturbing. Those phone calls from that killer are still very disturbing. That's
so
interesting sometimes
uncomfortable.
about old horror movies is so like your girlfriend's experience of watching Halloween, where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I can see why this could be effective. Da, da, da. What's sometimes interesting is watching an older one and seeing what's still very effective.
Yeah,
And what still is like, oh, that's creepy. That's still weird. That's
Totally.
still this.
Yeah.
That was the experience I had the first time I watched Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, okay.
And I was like 10 or 11. And I went in so cocky. I was like, it's black and white. How scary are you going to be? It's old as hell. Whatever, bro.
An old movie, I don't know.
And it was the simplest thing. But it's when the little girl stabs her mom with the shovel. And they just put an echo effect on the scream. It is the easiest effect. Scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like slept with the light on kind of a thing. I was like, that was the scariest shit. Just like that scream was so evocative.
Yeah.
And it still is. Like if you watch the original Night of the Living Dead, it's again a very simple effect that a lot of Twitch streamers just do is put an echo effect on a thing.
Yeah.
But it is still really creepy.
You know what had an effect on me, similarly using a sound, is when the kids in Halloween are watching The Thing from Another World.
Yeah.
And there's like a part where, what's the point?
My alarm told me to. My alarm.
Time to go.
That's my. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. You should probably wake up now. Alarm. I have that set every day.
Thank God you're here. Thank
Listen,
God.
sometimes insomnia will really hit,
That's true.
and you're passing out at like 4.
5,
so it's
4,
good to
yeah.
have that to just kind of
remind you.
give me a good little.
Hey, it's the next day. You might want to be productive.
Yeah, you might want to do some things.
But it's a scene when Michael Myers is walking Annie back into the house from the garage, and it's the sound effects from that movie. And for the longest time as a kid, I kept thinking those were the sound effects that like they put in. And then I realized it's from the film. And I don't know what it was about those sound effects that like I could never watch that. I still have not watched that movie.
Oh, the Howard Hawks.
Yeah,
version.
the Howard Hawks one, because I'm like, this sound just makes me so uncomfortable. And it was just ships landing, I think, in the desert or something. But yeah, that's just like another example of sound effects being incredibly effective and really imprinting in your brain and going, I don't like this. I don't want anything to do with this.
That's my from my experience of making horror shorts. It's sound design. Sound design is so huge.
Yeah.
And I try to be very with my music guy, David, to try to really think about like what sound's going to work, what's going to be effective. And sometimes just kind of experimenting and being like, ooh, that had a little weird echo on it right when the cut happened. Keep that echo in. That was cool. That had a hit. Yeah, sound is huge in horror. Like that's why I think along with movies and books, I also have a very decent vinyl collection of horror scores. And that is a big plug for Atomic Records here in Burbank.
I love Atomic Records.
Man, I will go in there and just buy movie soundtracks and movie scores, especially the movies like, even if movies like I haven't seen. Like Jerry Goldsmith, if I see a Jerry Goldsmith score, it's an immediate, pick that up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, God, physical media. We're going to have a whole conversation about this because it's lethal and deadly, and I love it so much.
Like the amount that I just want to buy an office just to have somewhere to put everything.
I know.
Like just so it's like, this is not in my house. It's in my club, my tree house, my little boy tree house.
I mean, I do the same thing because I mostly, we've had this conversation with Hector too of like, the music that I consume the most is movie scores. And it's like everything John Carpenter, everything John Williams, everything Jerry Goldsmith, everything, Elfman and all these people.
Yep.
That's the thing that I feel like keeps me like creative juices flowing. But also, like, yeah, it's just so fun to listen to.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't matter how many times I've heard the Halloween score. I'll listen to it 10 more. We saw Carpenter. At this point, it's already been 8 years.
Pre-pandemic.
I'm going again this year. He's coming back.
I know, yeah.
And I bought the meet and greet again.
You gotta.
I gotta.
I should.
Come on.
We'll post that photo of me and him at the meet and greet where you've never seen a man look more disinterested.
Truthfully, and I was gonna come
I love John Carpenter. I'm not shitting on him.
No, I know. But we've even talked about, we're like, oh man, what a dream it would be to have John Carpenter on the show and not talk about horror.
Oh, we've already discussed this. We have a guest list of like hopefuls.
Yeah.
We have John Carpenter on there, and my rule is like, we can't talk about horror with them. No. We got to talk about video games and not horror video games. Like, I think we got to talk about NBA 2K.
Yeah.
And Assassin's Creed.
Yep.
And I'll do it.
Why not?
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. I'll even play it before.
Yeah.
Just so I know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was so funny because I showed up with a Batman t-shirt, which I don't know why, but that's a choice. And it was right before Justice League was coming out, and he was like, "Oh, you excited for Justice League?" And I was like, "I'm apprehensive, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it." No talk about horror or Halloween at all.
But yeah, so that was, and I do at some point too want to talk about. We'll probably have this on when Andy's on. The Thing remaster video game that came out. Oh man. Fun.
Yeah?
So fun.
Nice.
John Carpenter's in the game.
What?
Oh, yeah. He's a character in the
game. Are you
game.
serious?
Oh, yeah.
That's so good.
He's in the game.
Why am I surprised, though?
They also do have, and so, video games, you can always look at it like, does it count? It does answer the question of Kurt Russell. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It does answer that question.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Did he have any input on the writing of it?
I think, Carpenter, I think like in the interviews, I think there's times where he's like, yeah, that's the official sequel. And then other times he's like, no,
really?
we got other ideas. So,
son of a bitch.
I think it's how you want to take it.
I showed that movie to my girlfriend and she was like,
the coolest.
That was incredible.
One of the coolest experiences, I think, of going to, because being in LA, we got a lot of cool revival houses.
Yeah.
Going to the Egyptian, this would have been like 2016, and seeing a double bill of The Thing and The Fly presented on film.
Where was I?
Man, I don't know. Presented on film, and The Fly one especially, what a loved print. Grainy as hell, scratchy. Oh, man.
I love those. This is my favorite.
I was fine with it. I had no problem with it.
Yeah.
It was great. It was such a great time. So that said, we've mentioned the Discord. We are going to be starting a Patreon.
Yes.
So we want to talk about that. We got to pay these bills, baby. So we are going to start a Patreon. The Patreon, what we are going to have on there. And we're going to talk about the tiers as we kind of more officially lock it in.
Yeah.
But we're basically going to do a $1, $7, a $10, $1. Hey, thank you. Just thank you. You're part of the action. We appreciate it. We hope you appreciate what we do as a horror fan. The $7 gets you access to the Discord, as we discussed, where we'll probably do movie watch-alongs once a month. I think we're also going to do like just general Q&As, hangs.
Yeah, maybe some
stuff.
live streams. Patreon is also like in the process of reworking their back end, and they're like incorporating more things, including live streaming directly on the platform.
Yeah.
So the tier, you're definitely going to at least get like access to these regular episodes, maybe some bonus episodes, some watch-alongs, and then we're also going to just like experiment based on like what the platform is doing.
Yeah, we can talk about the bonus episode thing too. So as an example of something, we want to keep it positive here. That's always the joy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the bonus episodes would be like, let's say, going through the Halloween series as a whole.
Right.
You know, there's going to be some you and I don't like.
Right.
We probably won't
Only
talk
5.
about those ones. We probably won't talk about those ones so much on the main show.
Yeah.
But on the Patreon, we want to kind of get into the dirt.
For sure.
We can get into the date.
The date.
And we can really talk about, ooh, that one didn't work. But that's behind a paywall. You gotta pay for that. You gotta pay for that
For the sauce.
internet negativity.
For that toxic masculinity.
And then at the $10 tier, you get everything we've already listed. And then we will
This
also
is fun.
on the show assign you a death, how you would die in a horror movie. And so after a couple people, we're gonna start getting creative.
Yeah.
But I think we can do it.
I think so. I think it'll be fun.
I think we can come up with some stuff. And along with that, once you are in the Discord too, this will also be a fun place to do this. We're assigning each other homework.
Mm-hmm.
We're assigning each other homework because as we said, though we love horror, there's a lot of things we haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
We may have missed. And the homework might not be a video game. Maybe I'm going to give you a long book.
Oh.
Maybe you won't get, not today, but
read these 800 pages by next Friday.
I hope you enjoy it.
Oh, shit.
But we're going to give each other homework. And so that could be something. And then also that's a good way for you guys. If you've seen the thing, read the thing, heard the thing, you can let us know in the Discord or on social media as well. If you're following, we also do have an Instagram for this here show, Glorious Nightmares Pod on Instagram, YouTube as well, things like that. So let us know where you land on the homework. So that said, Adam, throwing it to you. What is my homework? What am I doing?
So this is maybe this is a little bit of a cheat.
A little bit of a cheat.
Because I wanted to watch this movie so bad and I have never seen it. So I figured, well, maybe Cameron has seen it. Maybe Cameron hasn't seen it. So I figured, let's watch Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night.
Ooh, okay. I'll write that down.
Write it down. I think it's streaming on, I think they have it on Shudder, but I did end up buying the Blu-ray. I think it's from Kino Lorber, and I haven't had a chance to crack it open and watch it yet. And I know very little about it other than it's shot in black and white. And there's some other, I don't want to give anything away, but it sounds very intriguing, intriguing, fun, and up my alley. So I was like, all right, I think this will be a fun one to start with.
That is good.
Yeah.
How familiar are you with the oeuvre of Vincent Price?
Surprisingly, not very.
That's fine.
Sadly.
No. It's understandable. So my homework to you, I want to give you a Vincent Price movie.
Perfect.
Let me make sure.
Lay it on me.
I have the name correct. So I want to give you The Pit and the Pendulum.
Okay.
Directed by Roger Corman.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool.
I believe, I don't know if it can stream anywhere, so I don't know. Sorry about that.
If there's a Blu-ray, I'll buy it immediately.
Well, I think the Blu-ray is available in the Shout Factory Vincent Price collections.
Oh, well, then I'll just buy the whole collection. I don't care.
Yeah, those are great. I really love those. So the homework then is on episode 3, because we're recording the next one right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have time to watch.
Unfortunately,
sadly. But in that time too, we will also, as we discuss the homework, we will assign new homework.
Yeah.
And again, also, if you're in the community and you want to let us know stuff you think we should check out or stuff we should suggest to each other, please do so. And also when we have guests, I think we'll also throw them into the homework pile.
The pit of homework.
Yeah, we might not assign them homework. That might be hard to do, but they can give us.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
Give us some homework.
The other thing too with the Patreon that is exciting is that it's going to be an evolutionary thing. So we're going to start and we're going to keep it somewhat basic, but it's everything that Cameron just mentioned. And then it'll be an evolution, and a lot of it will be based on feedback that we get from you guys. So definitely go into the Discord and give us the feedback, because we want to know, like, oh, if there's something really valuable and really fun that we could do. It doesn't have to be, I think for the most part, we want to try to do at least something once a month. But if it's something like really ambitious, like if it's doing like some sort of like a tiered bracket challenge or whatever, we can do things quarterly or whatever the case may be. So even if the scope of the project seems a little ambitious, I'm open to doing anything.
Yeah, I'm down to say
whatever it is.
And also what we will introduce to when we review our homework is we will also be bringing a segment, a top 5. You can't do a show anymore without a top 5.
I know.
I want to make it fun. I want to make it creative.
Gotta be clippable.
Throwing it out right now. Here's the top 5 that we will do in episode 3. Top 5 most memorable movie deaths.
Oh,
now
that's a good one.
What that means, open to interpretation. What makes it memorable? Is it violent? Is it comedic? Is it shocking? Is it glorious? Whatever it ends up being, but your top 5.
All right. Say less.
So that's what we will be bringing in on that episode. Homework assignments, homework read, new assignments, and then a top 5.
Yeah.
And then hopefully by that time too, we'll also have emails. So feel free to also throw us questions that we are happy to answer. It's gloriousnightmarespod@gmail.com.
Yeah. And then on Instagram, we're going to be posting lots of reels that are clips from the podcast, but also, you and I just got to go see Final Destination Bloodlines. Yeah. We have a little mini review on there. So we're going to try to just be more active on there, posting those little reviews. And if there is like a top 5 segment that we talk about, clip it out, put it on the social media, because that's what you got to do nowadays. That's the only way a studio will go, would you like to come to a screening for a film? Yes, I would. Thank you.
Yeah. But we're going to get into Final Destination and Sinners on the next episode.
I'm very excited.
There's been some other horror stuff, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah. We'll get into as much as we can. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. This has been a lot of fun, Cameron. I'm so glad that we're doing this.
I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to the many, 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 many more episodes that we're going to do. Follow us on Instagram. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
See you soon.